This pandemic pushed you to step up and deliver responsive assistance. I'm glad to have seen you undertake new and heightened responsibility, working doubly hard to protect your constituents. To the international development partners who extended a helping hand amidst the global health emergency, the Philippines remembers your kindness and goodwill with sincere gratitude. And to all of you who answered the call to protect one another by adhering to our nation's protocols, daghang salamat. But then, let me ask, perhaps you and to myself, what exactly is the state of the nation today? In the light of the pandemic which has paralyzed business activities and crippled even the strongest world's economies. So, where do we go from here? Looking back to our accomplishments. In my first SONA, I laid down with utmost commitment and resolve the overall direction of my presidency. A comfortable life for all Filipinos, anchored on a people-centered approach to development and governance. If I remember correctly, my administration, I said, will implement a human approach to development governance in our people's welfare in the areas of health, free education, adequate food and housing, environmental preservation, and respect for the culture. I bore no illusions that steering a nation towards a comfortable life for every Filipino would be easy. Indeed, the past 5 years have truly been challenging and humbling. I stand here before you today bearing no conceit, but if there is one thing that I could be proud of, is that not once did I waver in doing the unpopular, even if it meant upholding the greatest good for the greatest number. Before I took office, our country was beset with communist insurgency scattered across the nation, a separatist movement that sought to divide us on the basis of religion and religion's deficiencies, and the proliferation of illegal drugs and criminality. Our armed forces were ill-equipped to deal with internal and external threats, while the police force had been overwhelmed by criminality and the drug trade problem. This is why I made it a priority to strengthen the institution, boost the morale of the men and women of the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police and other armed services. Again, I thank Congress for working with the Executive Department in enhancing capabilities of the AFP and PNP through our modernization program. In 2018, we raised the salaries of our military and uniformed policemen and personnel to a level commensurate to the critical role they play in upholding national security and maintaining order. I am asking Congress to pass a unified system of separation, retirement, and pension of military and uniformed personnel to maintain government fiscal flexibility and provide adequate benefits and remuneration to our men and women in uniform. This shall apply only to the new entrants of the military and civil. Hindi ho lahat. Cannot be that we have to pay so many, even the salaries of the retired. They get a chunk of the big budget. And if we include the new entrants, the funds available for them would not be enough. It is also high time for us to pass a law providing free legal assistance to AFP and PNP officers, enlisted personnel. To help them from charges arising from incidents related to the performance of official duty. The continuous upgrading of our defense capability shall ensure that we shall uphold our territorial integrity and sovereignty from external and security threats. Among the new additions, we welcome the country's 2 missile-capable warships to enable us to protect our seas by providing them with necessary equipment, by enhancing their professional capabilities, and looking after the families of the soldiers who would not be longer be in their company. We do not only strengthen our military and police institution, we also inspire them to serve this nation with the highest degree of loyalty and patriotism. We enable them to carry out their mandate to defeat all enemies of the state, whatever the cost. Indeed, I am proud of the accomplishments of our troops in securing our nation against all threats to our democratic institution. But peace must be realized. Peace and security is not only just a military concern. That is why we deviated from the traditional purely military approach in dealing with matters of national security. With the creation of the National Task Force to End Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, we have made great strides in addressing the root causes of this conflict by empowering our kababayans who have been used by the communists for so many decades. In our continuing effort to build state of safe and conflict-resilient barangays, we have worked towards the sustainable rehabilitation and development of communities where the communists used to operate. Through the NTF-LCAC, we invested in farm-to-market roads, school buildings, water and sanitation, health stations, and livelihood. Alam mo, kasali na tayo dito lahat. Always, every law or every regulation must pass Congress, of course, to the President. But sometimes, you know, in our, in the performance of our duties, we encounter the not so nice of confronting each other. But because of these interventions, more than 17 former communist rebels have surrendered to government. They have returned to the folds of the law and are happily reintegrating programs or the local eclipse. It's either I am talking too fast or too slow, or the operator of this thing here is drowsy. Maybe because I had so many ad-libs along the way. Marami akong akin lang. Kaya yung nahinto ako when I stop and I'm process something in the gray matter between my ears, hindi humahabol o hindi alam ng operator. I have said many times before, the bloodshed caused by the separatist movement in Mindanao is all about correcting the historical injustice suffered by the Moro people. Since the period of colonialization, with the help of Congress, we were able to pass the organic law for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Finally fulfilling a promise that was decades in the making. Our victory in Marawi is also a testament to how the Filipinos' patriotism is far stronger than any extremist group. As I have said before many times, there is no room for lawlessness in this country. Rebuilding a better Marawi remains today still not completed. To Task Force Bangon Marawi, we need to race against time, and you have to finish the necessary work for to rehabilitate the war-torn city and bring back its families back home. Now, let me talk again about the drugs. I was just ahead because I was talking something else. Nag-segue ako. While we have made great strides in ending rebellion and insurgency in various parts of the country, we still have a long way in our fight against the proliferation of drugs. This problem has hounded our country for several decades, destroying families and degrading the moral fiber of our society. When I assumed office, I committed to end this problem at the soonest possible time. We launched an unprecedented war against illegal drugs and to destroy their apparatus. That permitted every level and sector of society. We waged war on the manufacturers, the financiers, the suppliers, the peddlers, and the entire syndicates, and more importantly, their protectors in government. We have rescued and reformed drug dependence because of their idiotic sense of decency. While interventions and building facilities not only for the rehabilitation, but also to prepare them to reintegrate into society. Our unyielding campaign led to the surrender of millions of drug dependents and neutralization, capture, and prosecution of thousands of drug personalities. The dismantling of illegal drugs and syndicates and the drug laboratories, the extensive drug communities down to the barangay level, and the cutting of narco politics. You know, allow me a little bit of your time. Wala naman siguro kayong lakad ngayon. Unless you want to, unless you have this appointment with, I'm sure hindi babae yan. That would be a sexist statement. Kung nagmamadali talaga, halos tumatakbo, babae yan. Kung naglalakad lang na natural, medyo less important yan. Ganon yan. Pero dito wala. I'm not making any sexist. I'm just saying the truth. What is the truth? It's there for all to see. Let me talk about our quest for infrastructure development. 5 years ago, the first thing I made sure was to increase our infrastructure spending to an average of 5% of the country's GDP. This is significantly higher than infrastructure spending of each and past 4 administrations. Thanks to the comprehensive tax reform program that enabled us to fund critical infrastructure projects, today we can see the tangible results all around. MRT-3, with its frequent breakdowns and unloading of passengers mid-rail, was a horror. That was for the daily commuters to endure in the past. Now, MRT-3 no longer unloads passengers but to their destinations. The waiting time between trains had been significantly reduced to 10 trains running at only 30 kilometers per hour before. Now MRT runs 23 trains at 60 kilometers per hour. we have taken away the misery of public commuting. We also pursue the completion of the LRT to East Extension project by extending Line 2 and adding 2 more stations. We have reduced travel time between Manila and Antipolo from the usual 2 to 3 hours to only just 40 minutes. Thanks to our partnership with the private sector, we are able to open Stage 3 of the Metro Manila Skyway in January this year. This decongested EDSA and other major roads in Metro Manila. On Independence Day last month, we also inaugurated the Kalayaan Bridge, part of the BGC Ortigas Centerlink project, which will reduce the usual 1-hour travel time between the two business districts in just 12 minutes. Beyond Metro Manila, we are pursuing several high-impact projects that will be completed within my term and perhaps in the following years. It's a question of money. Just this July, we inspected the newly built passenger terminal building of the Clark International Airport. The new and modern passenger terminal is equipped with the latest state-of-the-art technology. This can accommodate 8 million passengers, alleviate air traffic congestion at the Naya Airport, as well as serve a major growth driver and gateway to northern and central Luzon. Madali man magpakpak, ang basa ang mahirap. To help promote equitable development, we also completed several roads leading to important trade corridors. Last year, we completed the construction of the Poro Point Free Port Zone Road in La Union, which improved nakita na ninyo yan? Wala. Sige lang pakpak. You don't even have a picture of what I'm talking about, I'm sure. To improve access to prime spots for investment tourism in the Poro Point area. We also completed the junction Lanao-Pagadian-Zamboanga City Road, which will provide easier access to farms and easily transport their agricultural products at low cost and in great quantities to industries and economic zones located in Diplahan, Zamboanga, Sibugay. The Sorsogon City in Bicol, inuna namin yan kasi mahal ko ang mga Bicolano. Pangangatawan ninyo yung pakpak ninyo ha, baka the Sorsogon City Coastal Pass-by Road is targeted completion by the end of 2021, while the Davao City Coastal Road will be completed by 2023. Bakit? Why? Why is Davao last? Kasi sinabi ko sa kanila, unahin ninyo yung buong Pilipinas. During the initial years of my presidency, I told the economic managers and the DPWH, pati si Art Tugade sa transportation, Unahin ninyo ang Luzon at ibang areas sa Mindanao. Do not look into the political entrails of this city and other provinces. Sinadya ko talaga na ipanghuli ang Davao. Kaya for the Davaoenos, you must understand that we cannot really unahin natin yung, kasi taga dyan ako eh. Kung hindi ako sigurado taga Davao, tapos na yan, pareho ng iba. Kaya lang sinabi ko, make Davao the last priority. At totoo yan. Sorsogon is a little politics, but that's the territory of our Vice President, Lene Robredo. Are you here, ma'am? Zoom. Meron ho kayong Sorsogon at iba pa. We have inaugurated new highways and roads and skyways. We have bought new trains, and these are a testament that we have greatly eased the grueling experience of traveling and commuting. And to sustain our momentum in infrastructure development, I have directed DPWH, DTR, NEDA, Department of Finance, and DBM to be on full speed to ensure that our flagship project will be completed within my term, especially those that could help disperse economic activity outside of the densely populated Metro Manila. I thus earnestly call upon our LGU and private sector partners to help us speed and go for the earliest realization towards our flagship project, infrastructure, and others. Let me dwell about governance. As we improve the connectivity, we work towards greater convenience for our travelers. We have extended the validity of the Philippine passport to 10 years to lessen the burden of our traveling travelers and OFWs. We have also gone beyond merely addressing the 3 million backlog of the driver's licenses in 2016. We also extended for the new cars the validity of the driver's license to 5 years, and addedly, we shall begin the issuance of these driver's licenses within 10 years, which would be good for 10 years if there is no traffic violation. So, punta ko doon sa LTO, maybe you have a good sight. Merong ano yan eh. I think there's an examination there somewhere to test your ability to drive safely. And you go back 10 years after, and you think that you still have the good sight, and your reflexes are still good. 10 years, marami yung banggaan yan. Sigurado ako. After 10 years, after 5, there should be a stricter measure to by imposing stringent requirements to test the essential functions of eyesight, then the hearing. Yung iba, hindi na nakakarinig ng serbato eh. And so I have to, 10 years is too long. So I like it. It's good. But we should have, as I said, in 5 years, we should go there for a medical makeover. Tingnan lang kung kaya pa. Not only did we extend the validity of the licenses and passports, we also sought to make long lines a thing of the past. By streamlining government processes, these efforts are embodied in the Ease of Doing Business Act, which Congress passed on 2018. Thank you, Congress. Sa inyo yun. Ako ang nagpirma pala. Ako nag-execute. Pakpak rin kayo. Dapat ganun ang SONA. Sabihin mo lahat. At sabihin mo na your, not really your qualms, but your misgivings somewhere there. Transactions will be further streamlined with the rollout of the Philippine Identification System, or the PhilSy, to the Philippine Identification System Act. With this, we hope to facilitate better access, better services and access for all Filipinos, even in the far-flung areas. I want to say something about this, but I'm taking too long, We also ensured the modification of the salary schedule for civilian government personnel through the Salary Standardization Law 5. A necessary measure for our civil servants to recognize their work and accomplishment, as well as a gesture of gratitude and goodwill. We have this legacy, and we hope to pass on this establishment of Central Business Portal, single site, and for all business-related transactions, such as securing business permits, licenses, and clearances, and launched earlier this year. It shall be elevated our global standing in doing business arena and improve our country's competitiveness. Alam mo ito, yung queuing. When I was a mayor, I don't know, but maybe a legislator or a senator or a congressman, well, not really he's higher than the others. But kung dumaan ka as a local government employee worker, just like me, for 23 years, itong queuing, matagal ko na ito. In Davao, ang passport issuances na doon sa likod ng SM, isang gabi, nagmotor ako, nakita ko yung mga paa sa simento. So I was thinking, ano nangyari dito? So nagbaba ako, sabi ko, bakit dito kayo natutulog? Sabi nila, Mayor, ang pagbukas niyan, kailangan nakapila na kami. Pag hindi, sunod, ibang araw na naman kami. So I called for the chief of office. And I said, look, I may not be the person above you supervising, but make sure that this thing will not happen tomorrow. As in tomorrow. Tapos tinawagan ko sabi ko, why don't you give cards? Kung marami sila paglinya, may maglakad na martial, ikaw bukas, at 4 p.m., So you have to study the time and motion of people doing work. Sabi ko, ayaw ko dito sa Davao because Davao, Mindanao, nasa Davao ang ang issuances ng passport. So ngayon, pagka-presidente ko, sabi ko, ayaw ko nang makita yan. Not during my time. Not during my time. Maghanap pa ng ibang panahon. Ayusin ninyo yan. I do not want people queuing under the heat of the sun and rain. Kaya, sabi ko, di magbigay kayo ng card. They should go to one window, magkuha kayo kung kailan sila makabalik. So divide, I said, study your time. And the motion of, the process of, and dito nangyari na because I insisted. Today there is no more queuing, especially in the National Office, Statistics Office. Nakita ko. Talagang sabi ko na, either you fix the thing or I will resign tomorrow because I could not bear to see those people. Hindi sa panahon ko. Kung hindi ko madala, hindi ko man kayo mapatay, hindi ko kayo mabugbog. Ako ang alis sa gobyerno. Sabi ko, ayusin ninyo yan. Hindi ko gustong makita yan. Since 2016, the Office of the President has issued 138 executive orders, 43 administrative orders, 86 memorandum circulars, 52 memorandum orders, and 1,038 proclamations. These issuances have been integral guideposts government administration and development agenda. The Office of the President has demonstrated careful stewardship of the power by initiating reforms. We upgraded and improved the system and processes to ensure that it can provide the best service to the institution of the presidency and the offices under it, ultimately to the Filipino people. To further promote transparency and accountability in government, we also issued the Order of the Freedom of Information and opens the records of transaction, decision, issuances of all government agencies. In relation to this, we have also Presidential Anti-Corrupt Commission that is tasked to run after corrupt and erring government officials and bring them to justice. Alam mo, I don't know if you perhaps have come to know about this. I have yung pastillas sa airport. There were 43 personnel involved. I fired them all. Talagang pinaalis ko sa gobyerno. Nagbalot mga ako ng pera sa pastillas. Sabi ko magbalot ka, lagyan mo ng pera. Kaya ito ang ipakain ko sa kanila. Tinawag ko, 43 of them from the immigration. Mabutit na lang nandyan si Justice Secretary Guevara. So, that prevented me from doing it because kung hindi siya dumating, and I never expected him to be there, bigyan ko isa't isa yung papel at ipakain ko talaga yung pera sa kanila. Gusto mo ng pera, kainin mo. That is the best way of, then you fire them. Customs 73 plus 42, and every day you have we have dismissed about 200 government personnel. But some I did not allow the publication because may mga pamilya. So of late, yung sabi nila na wag na lang kasi nasasaktan yung mga... So ngayon, wala na. I have stopped it. But there is no saying that we cannot reimpose it again for all of these idiots. I still have about a year to go. I will reach you somehow. But corruption is endemic in government. You cannot stop corruption. Nobody can stop corruption unless you overturn government completely. If I were the next president, if you think there's really a need for you to change everybody in the system, then you declare martial law and fire everybody and allow the new generation to come in to work for government. Eh, kung hindi mo ganunin, walang mangyari. Nandyan, it's in the system. Kagaya ng drugs. Sino ba naman maniwala na 9 generals sa police were into trafficking of drugs? And because they are policemen, the charges simply just, disappeared. Because the prosecution, the investigation, which form part of the vital documents in court, wala, nobody was investigating because they are also policemen. Kaya yan kahirap ang ano. Kaya gusto mo, itong mga to, talagang the only way to do it, just call them and say, look for another job. Don't. Ganun kahirap. Now, let me pursue my talk with the foreign policy of the country. In the international arena, we have vigorously pursued an independent foreign policy centered on the promotion and protection of our core national interests. Yet, sigurado kayo sa pinakpakan ninyo? I was just laying the predicate of what I'm going to say. Yet, we continue. I will just give the cue, then you clap your hands. Yet we continue to work with all nations and seek partnerships that work, because despite differences, it is an independent world where interests and objectives intersect. Now, partners heretofore silent for equivocal reasons have expressed their principled positions that echo our own, that disputes and contested areas, the majesty of the law must prevail, and this is most welcome. To our friends in ASEAN and around the world, thank you for supporting my government, my country and people, where it truly matters. I assure you that the Philippines will remain a responsible member of the international community. And we will work with you to achieve our shared objectives. But make no mistake, rather. Gone are the days when the Philippines decides and acts in the shadows of the great powers. We will assert what is rightfully ours and fight for what is rightfully due to the Filipino people. we do not have any SONA every day. Now it's as good as any other time to just let it out from puso mo. This is why we sent back container vans of garbage, because our country is not a dump site. And the first country to do that, hindi ko alam kung bakit, ang Canada. And the container was there for 3 years because hindi alam ng port authorities kung anong gawain nila sa garbage. And I said, isauli mo. I want it done tomorrow. Those containers must be out of our country. Pag hindi, kayong lahat, all of you in custody, I'll fire you. That is a good ground for dismissing people for accepting the garbage. Kaya, may isa pa. Pero let you in this story. The Balingiga bell. We welcome back the bells of Balingiga after many decades because a historic wrong needed to be corrected. The deal was, I would say, I am in bad faith. Sigurado yan. I will admit it. But this is the real story. The Americans, former soldiers, war veterans, went to see me, I think it was in Aguinaldo, and some military men. And in no uncertain terms, they said that you have been invited by Trump to go to America. Have you decided to go there? I said, no. Why? Because I do not like the way that you are treating my country. Why? I said, for one, and there was the clamor now of Balingiga. You return the bells of Balingiga. So that's a war really sacred also to the soldiers. Then it is more sacred to us in addition to the religion, the Roman Catholic Filipino Church, the church. Sabi nila, why would to make a deal? Si Hogan, he is around. He's a CIA agent. Sabi niya, isauli namin, pupunta ka, because I said earlier in my maybe presidency, there will never be a time that I will go to America. Itong mga media mahilag mag-udyok ganon, bakit ka hindi punta? O arte mo lang yan. Sabi ko, then you watch me. Gusto ninyong malaman. Sabi ko sa Amerika, yes, I might consider going to America. So, well then. O sabi ko, work on it. Ano in just 2 months' time, they told me that the ship carrying the Balingiga bells are on their way. To deliver it to Quezon. You remove it, you put it back there, kayo mismo. So tulong-tulong sila doon, nabalik na. And Hogan said, so when are you going to go to America? So I do not have the time. But I will go there. Nung malapit na, hindi na talaga ako pumunta. Well, how about your promise? Well, I lost time to do it. I cannot do it now. Pero talaga, in my mind, and the Americans might know it, there was never in my mind a trip to America. Ngayong Balingiga, sabi ko, you massacred one barangay, baryo noon, women and children and all. Pinatay nila lahat. Because that bell, Balingiga, was used to call the people for prayers, ganon. Sa simbahan yun eh. So yung ginawa nila, every time it is used, the Americans knew that it has a great significance to the Filipinos, the Balingiga. After the massacre of one barangay, how many at the time we would never know. But it was said, isang baryo. No barangay ngayon, baryo noon yan eh. Baryo is an American word. The barrio. They also call the small places in Mexico barrio. Right? The Americans borrowed it from the Spaniards, barrio. So sabi ko, blood, you really got it at the expense of the blood of Filipinos. I do not hurry me up. If I go to America, it will be in my own time. Pero actually, wala ako. I have not been to America for almost 10 years, 22 years. I have not visited America, and I do not have the intention of visiting it anymore. We called on the world to dismantle the heinous kafala system. Ito ring isa. Because the Filipino is no slave unto anyone, anywhere. And there is no room for modern-day slavery. We helped start a new global civil rights movement for the migrant worker. And we asserted the arbitration ruling on the South China Sea clearly and in no uncertain terms, bilaterally, and the ASEAN, and finally